Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yep. Well,
Um,
I see that, and it's interesting, I mean, like that's I actually think that of the two things that I think are the most critical things for an individual to mm, discover and really grab a hold of as a business owner, like, somebody who didn't take business courses, they didn't, go through, like they started doing a business because they wanted to, and they don't really know anything. They're just picking it up as they go along, which was me, like, I mean, now
yep.
granted,
And
fortunately,
well,
that was out of
that was
college.
me
That's where I
too.
started. I just, but the two things that I think were the most critical things that that changed how I run my business and the things that I do and how I think about things, in a positive way, was one, realizing the only price that's too high is the price that prices you out of the market, right? Like, I mean, you should be pricing your product as absolutely as high as you can to maximize profit,
Yep.
overall profit, like not just profit per unit, but what's my overall profit coming out of it. And also taking into account how many customers do I actually have to interact with regularly in order to maintain that profit, right? Like, there's customer service, and there's the warranties, and there's the, like, okay, if I can generate the same amount of profit out of, 10,000 people versus 50,000 people, so I don't have to, interact with 40,000 additional people, and I still make the same amount of money. Well, that's where I want to be.
Well, I will caveat that a little bit, um, because I used to have a very similar mindset. However, I have probably in the last year shifted to where, again, what is the where am I at in the business or the brand, and what is the purpose of that product? Because you have some products, you don't necessarily. I don't know how much. If you're VC funded, by all means, go for it. But most of us aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And have a loss leader, but at least have a product that it's an entry point break even, where
Right.
really at the end of the day, the purpose of that product is you're just breaking even, so that way you can bring people into your community.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
you
and
have
I
other
think, and I
products.
guess I should clarify that
Yeah.
my perspective on that is as a brand, right? Like,
Yes.
how much profit am I bringing in as a brand for the number of customers that are necessary to bring in that level of profit, right? And, like, so how much effort ultimately is going to be required? If I can do it with 10,000 customers versus 50,000, there's a difference there. Um, and so some of the products in that brand are going to be those tripwire products. Like,
Yep.
I'm trying to get as many people in the door with that product, but there's not much service involved with it. There's not, it's an easy product. It's just, I got to get them in the door so I can
Yep.
sell them other things. So yeah, for sure. But then the other thing and this goes back to what a point that you were making a little while ago, which is getting the right people to click, right?
Yep.
Not just getting people to click, but the right person to click. And the extreme level of importance of understanding who is that one customer that is
Yep.
the absolute best customer for my brand and for my product, and that's who I'm advertising to. I'm going to sell to other people are going to walk through the door, and other people are going to buy my product, but who is the one person that, if I get the right messaging to them, they will buy from
Mm-hmm.
me every single time, and they will come back and buy from me multiple times
Yep.
because of the message and the product. And when we finally realized who that person was for our brand, it made so much difference in our messaging and how we talk to our customers, how we write all of our marketing copy and our emails to those individuals, and the wording that we use, all of that sort of thing. But if you don't know who it is, you don't know how to talk to them. Like,
Yeah.
you have
Well, and I
absolutely
mean,
no idea how to talk to them.
and there's also opportunity out there. This is something that we haven't done yet, but I do know that there's other sellers that have been successful with that. Is that, let's say that you have, three different audiences. You have one audience that is fantastic, and then you have another audience that, they're still good,
Right.
but by trying to speak to both of them at the same time, you end up with, something that is average at best.
Right.
Well,
You're diluting the message.
all it costs you is a UPC code and some inventory
Exactly.
in order to
Right.
copy that ASIN. And yeah, you start at 0 reviews. So it's going to take, it's a long-term investment, and Amazon doesn't like it. but quite frankly, I don't care what Amazon likes or doesn't like.
Exactly. Right.
But I mean, you can duplicate that product, and and you're not really duplicating it, because what you're doing is that you're focusing on that other customer avatar that is just as valid. Maybe
Right.
they only spend, 200 bucks over their lifetime instead of 500 bucks. But as long as they're profitable,
Exactly.
it's a perfectly valuable or valid
And
avatar.
I also think even that idea of, Amazon doesn't like it, as Amazon sellers, of course, we get really tied up in knots over some of that stuff, right? But you think about it from just a logical perspective, like how many major brands on the planet don't do exactly what you're saying? None of them. Like, I mean, like literally, like the company that I used to sell for before I was doing Amazon, Amsoil, it was so crazy because for years they sold a 10W40 synthetic oil, and they were selling the very same oil for motorcycles, for ATVs, for cars, for all that stuff, right? Terrific product. Like it worked.
Yep. And it's just probably in a different colored bottle.
But the marketing is totally different for every
Yep.
single one of those applications, right? So I remember I'd been with the company for like 10 years, and I went to a conference, and there was this whole big thing that they were like, hey, we now have a 10W40 motorcycle oil. And they showed us the bottle, and they showed us the marketing and the branding and everything. And everybody was like, wow, yeah, that's awesome. And it was like, I mean, we sold, good Lord, the amount of motorcycle we sold that year, after the new bottle, but it was the exact same product in two different bottles. They didn't change it. Like the formulation was exactly the same. I talked to the tech department. They're like, no, we never changed anything. It's the same product. We just two different bottles,
Some marketing dude who got a ton of money for that just said, hey, instead of putting it in a green bottle, how about we put it in a blue bottle?
What are we doing? Like, this is stupid. Let's just make another bottle. It costs us 20 cents, right? Like, why would we not do? So, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, who doesn't do that? Every business on the planet that's an actual business does exactly that.
You have to be smart. And I think, as sellers that don't have that experience, that like you had at that company, make sure you're doing that with your hero products, with your winners.